You need to just... How is it so hard to clap? Why do you have to say clap?
Because.
Like, I understand leaning back in your chair, being lazy, and not wanting
All
to
right,
type,
all right,
but
all right,
clapping...
All right.
No, don't need to restart. We're already going.
Okay.
I'm just making fun of you, and now everyone will hear me make fun of you. Anyway, hello everybody, and welcome to the World of Dragons podcast, the only podcast where 2.5 dragons get together to discover, review, and discuss dragon-centric content, including but not limited to books, TV shows, video games, to help you dragon fans find the next piece of media you want to lose yourself in. It is a very niche market, and so, help you find things you may never have heard of, and hopefully to help shed light on some of the confusing title things, fantasy books that have dragons on the cover, but there's no dragon in the book.
Which we
The
will never
worst thing in the
review
news.
because
The
there's no
worst thing
dragon
ever.
in the book.
Well, the thing is, yeah, I agree with you, Dilatan, but eventually we'll probably do, like, I don't know. We'll have a special episode where we go over, like, the top 10 dragon cuck books that don't actually have dragons
Yep.
in them.
It's like I don't even read books, but I feel for Ray. It's like you see a book with a sexy dragon on the cover, or just a really cool, powerful dragon, or whatever. You see a dragon on the cover, and you're like, "Oh, a dragon book," and you buy it and you bring it home because there are a lot of people who are like, "Oh, don't judge a book by its cover and don't read the back. Just go into it blind." And then you finish the whole book and there wasn't a single dragon. It makes me want to show up to their book signings and just backhand them across the face with the fucking book.
With the book, yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And the thing is, and after getting burned one too many times by that, people will stop trying books because they're like, well, I don't know what's actually in this, and that was the whole point of us trying to help introduce people to things. We'll take the dive for you. So, Dilatan, there may be a couple of times where we end up accidentally reading a book like that, and we'll still do the episode, and it'll just be mostly a warning, I guess, at that point. But we'll see what happens.
I guess.
I guess.
I mean,
don't know.
I still really want to do that book that I saw when we were scouting books at Barnes & Noble, the one with the dragon mech on the cover, because according to the synopsis of the book, the mech is sentient, and the kids that are piloting it can talk to it, so...
Yeah, possibly. If the dragon sent you, it's probably worth a risk. If I remember, it looked pretty thick and chunky, though.
Yeah, it was pretty thick and chunky.
Anyway, never actually gave our names for first-time listeners. I'm Ray. I always feel so bad to say the primary host. It's like, no, you guys are just as much a part of this as I am, even though I'm like the only driving force and do all the scouting and have to drag Dilatan out of bed. But anyway, I'm Ray, and then here is Bantam and Dilatan.
Oh, we don't get to introduce ourselves. It's fine.
Do you want? I can just delete that when I edit it, and you can introduce yourselves. I don't care.
Go ahead, Dilatan.
I am Dilatan. I'm coming to you live from a pillow fort in Florida. It's hot and muggy, but it's
We need to
soft.
commission art of you in a pillow fort so we can just get that put on a t-shirt.
Yeah. And I am Bantam, the most OP character in this podcast.
No.
You got nerfed last patch.
He's been nerfed the last 5 patches
I
in a row.
am Invoker Bantam.
No, you're no longer the meta.
Okay, listen. First off, you don't play the game, so you don't get to say that. Second, the Invoker is way too complicated for you to play. I'm sorry.
No, first of all, I'm not talking about playing him. I'm talking about being him, and he did everything effortlessly. So, meh.
No, I thought you were Bram.
No, Caden.
Oh, you want to be? You'd rather be Caden?
I'd rather be Caden.
You're not cool enough to be Caden.
How fucking dare you?
And everyone's confused what we're talking about. Hey guys, this week we're doing Dota Dragons Blood, the Netflix original series, 3 seasons long, 24 episodes,
The highest body count of anything we've ever reviewed.
4,800 minutes.
Treecenix just posted
No.
a GIF in the audience stand, and it is horrifying.
That's what people do with Source Filmmaker and Dota models. Because Valve. But yes, I tried to get these two to play the game with me so we could kind of do a bit of that too, but they both refused.
I've played it before, and Dota. So, all right, Ray has always tried to twist my arm into getting me to play MOBAs. The only MOBA I ever loved was Heroes of the Storm. And I tried League of Legends, didn't like it. I don't like how complicated it is. I liked Heroes of the Storm because there wasn't there weren't item buys. You didn't have to build a character. You just needed to get kills. That's all you had to worry about. And then League of Legends complicated it with gold and buying items. Dota was like, if you build your character wrong, you are fucked. The game was absolutely uncompromisingly difficult.
Let me tell you my first experience with Dota 2. It was with TAF. It was about several years ago when the game first came out. Me and the boys, team of 5, jumped in, faced against somebody else. Apparently, I played so horribly that everybody had to take a smoke break, get some weed to calm down, and they kicked me out. I will never touch Dota again.
Yeah,
because these people
major...
are way too fucking tryhards on that game.
Yeah, Ray is not this way. So just let me get that out of the way first. Ray is not that way, but everybody I've ever met who has played fucking MOBAs are the most tryhard, horrible, awful fucking people when they're losing, and the most fucking dog shit, like haha fuck you when they're winning. I have never ever seen, aside from Ray, a decent MOBA player who is just like, hey, it's just a game. Everybody treats it like it's their fucking life's work, and I fucking hate it.
Yeah, people have ego problems.
That's why I don't like the anime. There's no racist chat in the background.
The very last time I ever played League of Legends with Ray was we were playing against actual people, and I got into an argument, I guess. I wasn't participating in the argument, but I picked Renekton, and someone else was flipping out because he was going to play Renekton. And then when I said I'm going to go, I don't remember if I said top or bottom. I think I probably said bottom. He fucking raged for like 3 straight goddamn minutes because Renekton isn't good at bottom and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, whatever, I just want to play the fucking game. But no.
Yeah, I think you went bottom to go with me.
Yeah.
And Renekton is supposed to be top.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, so I'm not actually playing the game. I'm like, if I pick a character, I'm now forced to do this, and it's like I don't want to do that. I'm playing the game to have fun.
You got to learn to block those people out. When I first got into League of Legends, Jesus Christ, 10, 11 years ago, holy shit. I played with Tanith, my partner, and we wanted to play together because, you know, we're together, we were in the same room, we want to play together. So we'd pick our characters, we have no idea what anybody does, we don't know anything about a meta, anything about lanes or positioning, and we're like, let's try to go together, and we see people like, this guy runs top, and then this person runs bottom, and then like, oh, okay, I guess let's both go middle, because no one has gone middle yet, we can both go middle, and so we had a double mid game, and oh, that was a thing. But no, so first off, yes, Hero of the Storm is deceptively simple. I don't know. It seems simple, but there's some minor nuance to it that's actually not that simple.
Yeah, there are some minor nuances, but it was the type of nuances I could handle. I played as ETC almost exclusively, and I was really fucking good at ETC. Power sliding into combat, doing the hypnotized song blast, and then, you know, when people were nearby and they'd come in and kill stuff. But even Blizzard kind of gave up on Heroes of the Storm, so.
Blizzard gives up on everything.
Yeah, they do. But the point is, I hated Heroes of the Storm because there was no item shop. I couldn't itemize to like counter the enemy team. Like if their enemy ADC is doing extremely well, I can't just buy more armor or burst items to try to counter that. It's like no, so there was less flexibility, and I hated that. But anyway, I was going to say if Heroes of the Storm was like a 2 on the complication scale, League of Legends is like a 5, maybe a 6, depending on who you're playing as, and Dota is an 11. Okay.
Yeah, Dota is unforgivingly difficult.
Dota has so many random nuances to it, such as turn rate. Your characters actually have a turn rate. Different people turn at different speeds in Dota, which makes kiting as a ranged character much more difficult. But yeah, anyway, whatever.
Dota was the only MOBA where I lost to bots.
Which is good because it means the bots are fun to play against.
No, it means that the bots know exactly how to build, and I don't, and I got steamrolled.
Yeah, it's called learning. But whatever. Dilettante, I wanted to say, I'm very sorry for that experience you had. That's both horrible and goddamn hilarious, though.
After that, I will never touch another MOBA again.
To take drugs to calm down over how bad you were.
And then kicked him out. It's like, Dilettante, if you play with me, I will be nice and loving, and I will help you.
That's great. That experience, though, is still in the back of my mind.
I know, but that's why we need to replace it with good experiences.
We need to do a 3v3
you need
versus bots.
you need like 100 experiences to count to that.
Yeah,
shit
100%. 3v. That's 3v3 versus bots. The one thing, we're talking about the Dota game. We'll get into the show in a second, but the Dota game, the one thing I like about the Dota game is if assuming your team doesn't flame you for it, which is always going to be a problem because PvP games in general have toxic communities. It's not just League of Legends and Dota. It also happens in like Call of Duty and Modern Warfare. It also happens in Fortnite and PUBG. Anything PvP is going to get toxic because people are competitive assholes by nature.
Does
But-
Dota have the I don't want to play against this character, so I'm gonna ban it mechanic?
You can ban somebody if you play certain game modes, yes.
And that's also stupid. It's like, no, you're not gonna get to play the one character you're good at. Haha.
Well, that's why you need to have like 2 or 3 in your pocket. If only because if you like character A so much and then they pick character 35, which counts as character A, you kind of don't want to pick character A because you're gonna have a bad time. So go with your second pick at that point, just so you don't get counterpicked. But yeah, what was I saying? Oh yeah, assuming you don't have your teammates that flame you, Dota 2 is a lot more flexible in its composition. For example, if you play League of Legends, everyone insists 100% you must go 1 top, 1 middle, 2 bottom, and 1 jungle. And there are various certain characters who can go into each of these roles. And if you do anything different, you're trolling, you're griefing, everyone's super mad, whatever. Dota is more flexible because you can have 2 in the off lane, or you can have just 1 in the off lane, or you can have 3 in the safe lane. You can even do double jungles. It's like you can be a whole lot more choices. You're not really forced. I know I'm saying stuff you don't know what the fuck I'm talking about.
I'm just picturing you saying all this, and then me and Dilettante sitting next to each other, looking at each other like, what the fuck is he saying?
Oh, if I tried to explain an anime in the Dota terminology like I was going to, I never got the Bible. But it would have been like a second language.
I do know what he's talking about. It's so silly to me.
I guess just for the sake of people listening that don't know what the heck's going on, in League of Legends the map is perfectly symmetrical. In Dota, it's not. There's a slight difference. One of the lanes is longer than the other one, and it's mirrored depending on which side of the map you're on. So the safe lane has a very short distance between your tower and where the two creep waves will crash into each other, so you can farm safely. The off lane has a much longer path between the tower and where the creeps will crash, so you're more likely to get ganked from the river if you're in the off lane.
All right, this is where I'm gonna pat you on the head and say, okay, so the anime.
Yeah, before we run into the anime though, I should have asked you before we started recording. I might have to cut this out if it goes nowhere. Was there dragon news?
No.
No.
I don't think so.
Oh wait, no, there is.
Final Fantasy 16 comes out soon.
Something.
Oh, wait, hold on. I have a couple things too.
My thing first.
Okay, go.
I actually found a Stardew Valley clone with dragons.
Intrigued. I mean, I usually play. Oh, Stardew Valley clone. I thought we were talking about a mod. I'm like, I play with the mod that makes them all furries.
No, not a mod. This is a clone. If I can find it in my wish list, because I added like a shit ton to it. Here, Sun Haven.
Oh yes, I'm trying to get Bantam to play that because you can play as a little like snake person, and there's a dragon. The conductor to the train at the beginning is a dragon that just sits on the top, holding onto big ass like hand grips and flaps his wings to kind of just like pull the train along.
That's fucking adorable.
I know. But yeah, we should play Sunhaven.
All right, fine. We'll play Sunhaven.
Fantasy Stardew Valley, everybody.
It is, yeah. We'll do that after the next book when you need a break from reading.
Okay.
Pencil that in right now. My quote dragon news is as of recording, 2 days until the release of the Dragon DLC for Age of Wonders 4, and 4 days from the release of Final Fantasy 16, which, if only barely, ticks all the boxes because the way they have the icons work in that game, when you get Bahamut, you will be able to shift into a pseudo dragon form and beat people up. I'm assuming we'll see when I actually get to play the game, but I mean, it's like a half dragon game at that point if you can do that. Depends
Unless
on how much
that's a very late game ability, then it's like
it depends.
It's not. You play. I haven't even played the demo, but I've watched a lot of videos, and it's not really a spoiler. You play the prologue when he's a teenager, and then you unlock the ability, and then the second chapter of the game is when you're like in your middle age, I guess, or
Yeah.
you go from teen to older
Right, but the thing
teen.
is,
And
in these Final Fantasy games, Bahamut's usually very strong. Is usually towards the end of the game when you get him.
yeah, no, because
That's what I'm
they have
saying.
skill
Like, the
trees.
prologue gives it to you as a taste, and then takes it away until you unlock it in the main game.
Yeah, you get.
So we'll see.
We'll see.
I'm
But
calling
yeah.
it.
Also, in 2 days, I go to the dentist to get my first crown. Very sad.
You finally
It's
become
not.
a king.
It's not the crown he wanted, but it's the crown he needs.
I'm very sad because this is the first like chink in the armor of I'm no longer 100% pure. I'm slowly becoming cybernetic by getting a fake cap of the tooth. Toe in the water. All right, you ready? So we can go and talk about the anime now, I guess, right?
Yes.
Nothing else we need to kill time with.
No, because I
Alright,
did
so
have to work.
Starting out spoiler free for the first half. The brief synopsis, I can't talk, of the show. It follows the playable character Davian, the Dragon Knight, and a couple others. The reason they call it Dragon's Blood, like that's the reason they gave the anime the name, is because I feel like a lot of it centers around Davian getting possessed by a dragon. Like that seems to be the
Or
major linchpin.
or all the blood that's thrown across the screen throughout the anime.
It's not the
Yeah.
most violent anime I've ever watched, but it has the perfect amount of violence to make a point. To it, I've seen animes that are so violent and so blood splattered that it just loses all meaning and just becomes like gratuitous. This
Like
one is
Hellsing?
I feel like this is perfect, at least as far as violent animes can go.
Yeah, but so the I can't think of like the vocabulary. The details that I would try to give somebody if I was to convince them to watch it, like trust me, it's good. The main character is able to turn into a dragon. He does have a hybrid form, which looks very gross. I'm sorry. Um,
No, it
but
does.
not the plot. A lot of the driving force behind how the plot moves forward has to do with dragon souls. So the dragons in this universe are very powerful. They are tied to like the essence of creation itself, and so they play a big role in how a lot of the things actually occur. Like that's the best spoiler-free way I can try to be like, this is why it's important to dragons, right?
Yeah.
Um, as as people who have not played the game a lot and don't know a lot of the characters, was it easy enough to follow for you guys?
Yes. So I told Ray.
The
I was like,
the first book was easy to follow. Second one was that was the biggest lore dump I've ever seen. And the third one went batshit crazy.
I told Ray, I was like, every time a playable character shows up, let me know. And like, I think there was like 6 playable characters they just dumped as like a flashback sequence. But
Yeah, when they're trying to explain what effect the dire and radiant stones are having on the world, they did a little montage of like 6 playable characters. Yeah.
yeah. But it was kind of obvious. It at first it was kind of obvious, but then later on they introduced characters that are not playable that I was like, oh, he's definitely playable, right? And Ray's like, no. And I was like, oh shit, okay. And there were characters that were far cooler than playable characters, so I actually liked that. Because, like that, there's that whole joke of like, here's a screenshot, find the main character of the anime, and it's the one character with a ridiculous outfit and ridiculous hair.
Yeah, Bantam's really sad that fuck, what's his name?
Caden?
Caden. He's really sad like Caden's not playable.
Yeah, and Kushara, was it Kushara? No.
What the Sun Empire advisor?
Yes, that guy.
Viceroy Kushara or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
He would have been fun. Yes. Also one like a weird thing, I guess just dropping a bunch of names people don't know about. There was a character, I think her name was Venari, or whatever, the assassin. Uh, she's not playable as far as I can tell, and it's really weird that she's not, because of the role she filled in the show. Granted, I don't know the character's lore in the game. I feel like they should have just made her Medusa, and then they could have had another character plug in there.
No, because they can't possibly have any sexy beast characters as a main character that shows up for more than 5 fucking minutes.
No,
Aside from whatever his name was, the pangolin.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, like, the whole point of the Venari assassin character was she was able to solidify people, crystallize them, whatever, right? and she's an archer. And it's like that's pretty much what Medusa does in the game. She's an archer that can turn people to stone. So it should have just had it be her.
I really honestly feel like it was the same issue that XCOM had with the Vipers. They're like, we don't want to animate a snake moving and interacting with things around her, so we're gonna use a vaguely humanoid model and just make a new character.
Go, Thinman.
Cowards.
Yeah, basically cowards. It's really frustrating. Because I mean, her character design, the assassin, was pretty cool, but like I don't know. I after we finished season 2, I went and I looked up all the League of Legends Dota characters that were playable, and I was scrolling through them, and I'm like, why isn't he in here? Why isn't he in the anime? Why isn't this one in the anime? All these characters are far cooler, and they're not fucking humans. Like, aside from Chaos Knight, who was pretty cool, I would love to have seen Chaos Knight, but yeah. It's the same thing where you have an anime where beast characters exist, right? So you have like the Sun Umpire's Captain of the Guard, who's a wolf, and you have all these.
He's an Earth sign. He's the same thing that Ursa is.
Oh well, point is
Ursa's playable, so one of his species is playable, but not him himself.
well, point is that beast characters exist in this universe, but none of the main characters are beast characters. And I told Ray, I was like, I could count how many times like they would just flash through a scene with like a background crowd and they'd throw a beast character in the background, but how dare you make a beast character one of the main characters?
Right. It bleeds into my biggest argument that I've actually done on like fantasy subreddits. Like it's my biggest complaint about the genre as a whole. It's just it's so full of human superiority. Like all the main characters must be human. All the people who save the world must be human. All the most powerful things must be human. And I get it. These are stories written by humans for humans. But you would think in a genre that's as fucking overpopulated as it is that people would start to branch out and be like, you know what? In a world that has 7 races besides human, maybe we try to make the glory a bit more spread out evenly. Right?
Yeah. I'm just tired of humans, main characters, always, forever. And like there's an anime that I really want to watch. It's probably not going to be for the anime, I don't know, but there's an anime I really want to watch. It's an isekai about like I guess he's like a pro wrestler who gets teleported into an isekai world, and he's expected to help the humans fight against the beast races, but he's also an animal lover, so he instead joins the beast races and is just like, no, I like them better. And it's like, yes, more of that.
Well, there's not enough furry writers in Hollywood in order to give us this. Furries, go invade Hollywood.
On it. All right. We kind of tangented a bit there, going down the list of my spoiler-free talking points. Content warnings: a whole lot of blood and violence. Holy shit.
And a lot of swearing. But
there's a lot of f-bombs if that upsets you at all.
The f-bombs are really like well placed.
Natural.
They're really natural. Like two of my favorite quotes actually come from, and it's not a spoiler, but two of my favorite quotes actually come from a character called Caden, who is like my favorite character, where his two quotes on his Wikipedia page is, "That's a lot of fucking dragons," and dragons talk too fucking much. But there's a lot of times where something horrible will happen and the main character sees it and just goes, fuck.
I'm not going to give much info on the characters to not spoil anything, but there's a character that's very pompous and tries to leave the room at one point, and when he's going to get stopped, he's like, balls.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the quality of the show. Was it a good quality show?
So it does a lot of what most modern animes do now. It's mostly animated, like actual drawings and cell shades, whatever. The backgrounds look painted a lot, sometimes for effect when the camera's moving. The scenery is fully 3D. And then it doesn't really make any sense sometimes, like depending on the scene. Sometimes the main character will suddenly become cell-shaded 3D models. A lot of like combat with lots of soldiers will usually have 3D models thrown in, but it doesn't.
Yeah, it's a thing that's becoming more and more common.
Yeah, it's not egregious, and it's not really noticeable unless you really look for it. Especially considering most of the 3D assets that are cel shaded to match the animation style are usually thrown in the background, and it's not really what you're supposed to be paying attention to. But I have a weird superpower that I just notice shit in the background all the time. So
If
Yeah,
you
it is
like
a weird
the
superpower.
anime Castlevania, though, you will like it. It is made by the same
It
people.
was same studio, yes. It's not as bloody as Castlevania.
No, not by a long shot.
But Dilettante, what did you think was a good quality show? Did you enjoy it overall?
I give it like a average rating. The action was fine, but it was very like grim dark at times. I'm not a big fan of something like that.
no, see, I
I like to escape reality and the goofy shit, not
oh,
serious depressing stuff.
I mean,
But you like 40K, don't you?
Not really.
You
I
don't.
like the
Oh,
combat of
he likes
40K more than the
he.
story.
I think Dilettante is a lot like me when it comes to 40K. We love the lore and the armor and the weapons and the general aesthetic of it, but the storytelling in Warhammer 40K is kind of stupid. Um, and yeah, eventually it becomes too grimdark and too all hope is lost to really find any interest in it. I didn't really have that in this anime. I actually really liked it. There was some pacing, a major pacing issue that I'll get into later. But
they do talk a lot.
well, I mean, it's a what is it? A cost saving measure for most animes. I mean, you have a character who just stands there motionless and their mouth flaps. Uh, they don't do a ton of that in this one, but there are a lot of characters standing around and then just slightly altering their pose while they talk. So
Yeah.
you can kind of tell, like, ah, shit, we need to stretch this out and make sure it's X amount of minutes. We're gonna have a character talk for a little bit. It's lots of like far away camera shots, lots of that stuff. But none of it's aggravating or annoying.
Yeah. A bit of a rewind to content warnings, I guess. Dilettante, you're much more susceptible to this than I am, apparently. Considering where the plot goes in the later part of book 3, chapter 3, season 3, whatever the fuck they call it, books in the show, I think. Um, would would you call it? Is it
It's a feels heavy, yes.
not? Is there a risk of succumbing to existential dread?
Oh, absolutely. Dude, the
Absolutely.
season 3 was like fucking. Oh, that made my brain hurt.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wanna point out one thing. Dilettante said feels heavy. There were a lot of scenes in this anime where I felt like it was supposed to be tugging at heartstrings, but I felt nothing this whole anime. I liked the characters because I thought they were cool, but I did not feel a damn thing for any of them.
For me, it was the book 3 was when it got heavy for me. The other two, I could call whenever a character showed up their type of personality if they were gonna die. If you were happy in this show, you were gonna die.
So
Yeah.
I actually I think we've mentioned it on a previous episode. As soon as I latch onto a character and I really like that character and I announce out loud to Ray I really like that person, they almost always die. And there was a couple characters I was bouncing around for the first two seasons, and then by toward the end of the second season, I went, yeah, you know what? I think that's my favorite character, and then they
Dead.
died. And I was like, okay, well, at least I still have my backup character. And then the beginning of season 3, they died. And I was like, what? Like, this has to stop happening.
uh, but yeah. Okay. So there's a chance for existential dread because of the way the story goes in the later parts. If you are susceptible to that, I know some people that can really get to them. And also, this show is not afraid to kill off your characters, and I'm not going to mention names. A couple of playable ones actually do get killed off too, which was really surprising. But yeah, anyway, moving on to the believability slash verisimilitude slash realism. Did any part of it make you stop and go, that doesn't make sense? Or like
Yes,
that wouldn't happen that way?
A lot
a
of it.
lot of it.
A lot of it. The thing, but that's not the anime's fault. That's just general tropes and fucking anything. The amount of problems that could have been avoided or solved by characters just talking to each other, or just I don't know, just doing the most obvious fucking thing, but instead the characters were like, no, that can't be true. I'm gonna walk away and pretend this didn't happen. And it's like, no. Like, or the amount of characters who were like, there was one character, no spoilers, who had another character prisoner and was like, I'm not going to kill you because that'll make you a martyr. It's like, no, kill them, because they are not going to stop. They're going to get out, which they did, and they're going to become a problem later, which they did.
No, that actually does make sense.
No,
Listen,
it doesn't. It just
yes,
kill
it
them.
does. No, well, you kill them, you get a mark. That they never go away.
Okay,
You've got to kill the reputation first.
Here's the thing. It's only a martyr if other people know that you killed them. But she had murdered the entire enemy platoon of this one person, and then took the commander captive, and then was like, I'm not going to kill you and make you a martyr. What's to stop you from cutting her head off right then and there? No one will fucking know. They will not have their commander to lead them later, and they'll just think she disappeared. You can't have a martyr unless you know who did it.
No, that's not how martyrdom works. She's not gonna, whether killed or prisoner, she's not leading anybody else. The problem is if she was killed and executed by like these, from their point of view, evil people, you're gonna get more people rising to take their place. Like we're gonna have 3 other people rising up to lead the faction and whatever.
So you're not getting what I'm saying. I'm gonna put us in a situation, okay? So I am on the enemy faction, and Ray is on the good guy faction, and Ray executes Dilatan to, if he follows what I said. I don't know that you killed him. I don't know that he's dead. I just know he just stopped showing up one day. I don't know if he's off doing something else. Therefore, there aren't people rising up to take his place because no one knows where the fuck he is. He's dead, and I don't know that you killed him. So therefore, I am now disorganized, and I have no fucking idea what's going on. The point is,
you can kind of assume that the person was killed because you can't find them. That means they're dead, and it's very obvious that it was.
It is an active war zone, so that happens.
Yeah. The taking prisoner thing, and if you really wanted to make sure that everyone knew they were alive for whatever reason, you could show off a prisoner every now and then. You send fingers or locks of hair or something and be like, look, we still have this prisoner. If you want them back,
I don't know.
ceasefire.
I never agreed with taking prisoners. I never agreed with like the whole, oh, we can't make them a martyr. No, it's fine. Just fucking kill them. Because
you heard it here first, folks. Bantam's ruthless.
Yeah, I am ruthless.
Merciless.
Don't take prisoners because prisoners will escape and they'll get you when you're sleeping. Don't take prisoners. Never, ever take prisoners. Especially considering that if you're a character in this anime who can throw a weapon and decapitate like 30 people by doing a wide boomerang arc, and then the one person who you can't do that to because she's skilled enough, you take her alive? No, you have her prisoner, kill her. It's aggravating to me because it happened. It didn't really happen in this anime, but in anything else I've ever watched, they take a prisoner, the prisoner escapes, and the prisoner gets to kill the people who took them hostage. And it's like this whole situation would have been prevented if you just executed them immediately. It's the same thing when a good guy has a bad guy at the end of a gun, and it's like, I'm not going to kill you, and puts the gun down, and the bad guy shoots them, and then gets away. And it's like, stop doing that shit.
Hashtag Batman should kill the Joker.
Yes.
Okay. Dilatan, what didn't sit right with you as far as believability?
The lores of book 2 and 3. That kind of threw everything out the window.
Oh, so you're just confused by the lore.
I feel like I needed to learn about the game before I actually went into this.
I don't think you actually need to know any of the game lore, though, because I actually looked it up. I went to the wiki, and I looked at it.
A lot of people say they changed some of the lore for the show, and they're like, we don't know what's canon anymore.
Yeah, well, because I was looking at the wiki for each of the individual characters, and I was reading their extended bios and all this other crap, and it's like, it doesn't tell you shit. I mean, aside from, like, let's use Miranda, one of the main characters of the show. It announces where she comes from. It announces what nation she belongs to, and that she was blessed by powers to be able to do this, that, and the other thing. That's it. That's her whole fucking bio. There's no lore in Dota. This anime gave it lore. Unless there's some books or something, but point is like,
I think there's some comics.
Like, you play the game, and you're just like, I like this character. I gel with them. And then you watch the anime, and you're like, whoa, that's their motivation? I feel like the anime gave way more lore than anything else.
We'll get more into the lore that didn't sit right with Dilettante in the second half, I suppose. As for me, the only thing that I didn't like, and it's like that doesn't make sense, and I don't believe that, it's more of a I refuse to accept it, and it's the fact that the most powerful character in the entire universe is fucking Elf, and he can just body these fucking dragons like it's nobody's business. It's like, nope, dragons deserve to be the most powerful creatures in existence. That's just, of course, extremely biased. Again, this is a dragon-centric podcast. But as far as the show goes, if you're going to say these dragons are literally the fundamental forces that are the pillars of creation, nothing should be stronger than them.
Okay, you said what I was just about to interrupt with. Yeah, the show literally says that dragons are the pillars of creation. They are
Just these specific ones.
these
We'll get into the
specific
whole
ones.
soul nonsense later.
But there's this one character, the Invoker, who is just he can just do whatever the fuck he wants. I mean, throughout the entire anime, he's just grabbing people and teleporting them to his tower, or flicking his wrist and the character is just teleported somewhere far away, or trapped in some nightmare realm or whatever. And it's like, this dude's way too powerful, and it's kind of annoying.
Yeah, extremely. But again, that's just the way that I feel, and I'm just extremely biased in that. Other people may disagree, but I feel like more people would agree with me that are listening to this show because it's a dragon-focused podcast. But there we go. Dream fulfillment, honestly, pretty low because all the main characters are human. The guy that can turn into a dragon doesn't do it very often.
And when
However, the few times he goes full dragon, not the hybrid, but full dragon, are really good. I love Slyrak. I love the way he talks.
little mouse.
Yeah,
Yeah, no,
I'm
the
gonna
voice
start
actor for
saying that.
Slyrak does great warrior fighter roles. He actually voiced the Dread Ring in Transformers Prime, and he's like one of my favorite characters. And he's 10 out of 10.
Yeah, the I think all the dragons had really good voice actors. But
I like the Chaos Dragon.
the Chaos Dragon was great. Probably my favorite dragon of all of them. But yeah, every time he transformed, every time Davion, the main character, arguably the main character, he's the very first character you're kind of introduced to. Every time he transforms, he turns into essentially a Dragon Ball Z character, where everything from the neck down is bestial and cool, and then he's got a flat, stupid fucking anime face. And I
Yeah, that's the
hated it.
biggest complaint all three of us have with it is why does he need to have a flat face? Give him a goddamn snout.
Not only a flat face, but it's like an Easter Island head level of his nose is massive, but it's like a big, flat slope thing with like two little nares on it, and he's got the dragon eyes and a normal human mouth. It looks like an Easter Island head. It's so stupid. Like even toward the end of the anime, at one point he manages to channel multiple dragon aspects, and he literally just looks like a slightly more badass Frieza. And I'm like, ugh, gross.
Yeah, no, that was like the least satisfying dragon transformation. In the game, he's a full feral dragon. That's what I don't understand. Why they didn't use his actual like in-game transformation, just like a smaller feral form.
Yeah, so in the hybrid flat face form is really weird on a number of fronts. The one that I will say the most is every time it comes out, they're trying to embrace the animalistic nature of it because he's supposed to lose control a lot of times. So like, Davian, come back! I know you're still in there. Like, so they're going for the whole animalistic rage, losing control thing. Is like if you're trying to make him seem animalistic, change his face to be more bestial. Give him the snout, right?
Yeah, they could have definitely shown, like, because there are times when he transforms into a dragon and he still has some semblance of Davion in him, and so he still is like, I know who you are, and he talks to other characters or whatever. But it's like, okay, fine, in that form with the flat human face, fine. But when he gets to the point where he's so enraged that he's lost that part of him that is Davion, then yes, give him a snout.
Yeah, like they should definitely have had stages. Stage 1 could be flat face. Stage 2, he gets the snout. Stage 3 is full dragon, right? But anyway, that's honestly the biggest complaint we have about it. It's just the way they decide to make his hybrid form very unappealing. It does not get the dragon fucker seal of approval.
Yeah, it does not get the dragon fucker seal of approval, and I'm the one who hands those seals out. So, well, like it's not a spoiler, but the
18 plus podcast, everybody.
but the assassin character that we were talking about before, the assassin character has digitigrade legs and prehensile feet, and it has like
A tail, right?
and a tail, and I think a tail. But then she has a flat human stupid fucking face. And then at one point she's fighting with another character and her face splits open into this like fucking old one ma with
Like Demogorgon kind of
like
looking thing.
Demogorgon with like a thick tongue with like little teeth in it like a leech. And I'm like, that's more attractive than what you looked like. Why don't you just look like that all the time?
All right, calm down, monster fucker.
Yeah.
All right, but yeah, Dilettante first because Bantam just tangented. Dilettante, X out of 5, and would you live here?
1 out of 5, and hell no. If this world's the worst off,
Okay,
worst ever. Okay,
I think
I'm
I
rating
think,
the world.
I'm surprised by the 1 out of 5.
Okay, hold on.
That world, 1 out of 5 is the world
Hold on.
itself.
Yeah, I think that from now on, when we do this 1 out of 5 and should you live here, we need to ignore the events of whatever's happening in the media that we're covering.
Yeah, ignore the story. It's the setting.
The setting, like the world-ending calamities that are happening in whatever worlds that we're talking about aren't happening. They're not going to happen. It's just imagine it's a peaceful. Everything is exactly the way it should be before any of the events of the anime took place. Would you live in this world?
Like, for example, I would say 3 out of 5 because I love the world and love the lore, but as far as we could see from the anime, we didn't really look at the wider world. As far as we could see, humans and elves have all the power, which is really in my book. But yes, I would live here just because I love the whole lore behind the dragon souls, the pillars of creation, and all that, and I want to 100% steal that for like a D&D game at some point.
Okay,
I'm still gonna do 1 out of 5. It's not a problem that the world-ending calamity happened. It's that it's going to, with all the batshit crazy characters that are. I'm not talking about the ones that are like. I'm talking about the potential ones that are also in the Dota roster that are probably also in this anime. Like, this is the most unstable place to live in, with all the chaos energy going around.
Yeah, he's talking about mostly how because it's tied to Dota, the fact that things like Chaos Knight and Faceless Void exist means like, no, you're gonna slap down one world-ending threat, and there's gonna be 3 more to take its place.
Exactly. It's an inevitable.
All right, so
reality.
So you're staying at 1 out of 5?
The world 1 out of 5.
All right, Ray, 3 out of 5?
Yeah.
All right, I'm 5 out of 5. I'd live here in a fucking heartbeat. Purely because of all the different races that I didn't see any racism in this movie, this anime. Not a single, aside from human versus elf, like when a human sees an elf ears and it's like, like whatever. Aside from the most generic human versus elf thing, there are many times where a character will just walk up to another character who is very obviously not human or elf and just talk to them like a person.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that it didn't seem like there was any non-human racism in this world, I would definitely fucking live here. Yeah. I mean, all the different like I said, there were a lot of background characters, and I noticed them, and I'm really sad that none of them had any real attention put on them. But yeah, I would definitely live here 5 out of 5.
I'm gonna say something very weird that, if taken out of context, will get me canceled. So bear with me. All right. The kind of racism that was between the humans and the elves in the show is what I would call acceptable racism. And by that, I mean it's because it's founded. It's the fact that they have been at war, even if it's just a Cold War, for a long ass time, and it makes sense that humans would distrust elves and vice versa. It makes sense. It's not just like I hate you because you're different. It's I hate you because you have slaughtered my people for the last however many generations. It's like, yeah, sure, the end goal is all racism is in any sense is eradicated, and we all live together in peace and harmony. But in a fantasy world where you have factions warring against each other, it makes sense that there would be some between these factions. And also, Trisnix is right. We did actually confuse our own rating system. The X out of 5 stars is supposed to be a bit less for the world itself, because that's kind of encapsulated in the would we live here. The X out of 5 was supposed to originally be for the piece of media itself. Like, what would you rate the show out of 5?
That's true. Like, we would.
In which case, I still say 3 out of 5. It was good. I love the lore. I felt like there was a lot of talking, and a lot of the talking went kind of cyclical at times. And again, all the main characters were freaking humans or elves, with the exception of Pangolier, but he was there for, I think, like 2 episodes and then completely gone.
No, he was there for
No,
several episodes.
Pangolier showed up for probably a total of 30 seconds to a solid minute for in almost like 4 episodes after he was introduced. Um, he was a character, like he was alarmingly French, but like he was still an endearing character. I really liked him. Yeah, I mean he was very fucking open about how sexual he was, which I liked, but
I love casual sexuality.
yeah. And I think at one point one of the characters refers to his equipment, and because he's like, "Oh, come on," and she's like, "No, it's not you, it's your equipment," and he goes, "Oh."
So understanding that, Dilla 10, X out of 5 stars for the piece of media itself.
3 out of 5. It's still an average rating for me.
For me, 1 out of 5.
Because you hated the pacing.
I hated the pacing. Oh. Well, no, okay. I'd say 3 out of 5. Yeah. I'm getting it confused with the "Would You Live Here." But the actual
Yeah.
rating for the anime, I'd say it's a 3.5, maybe 4 out of 5. Would I live here? 5 out of 5.
All right. So we will take a quick break and enjoy some smooth tunes. Come back with the spoiler stuff. If you want to go watch it, it's on Netflix.
And you better watch it all the way to completion, or Netflix will fucking cancel it. Because I actually just watched. I watched a video. I watched a whole video on why Netflix does what it does, and apparently, if the completion rate of someone starting a show and watching it does not, getting all the way to the very last episode, if that does not reach 50% or more, the show is canceled. The completion rate of Inside Job was 48%. The completion rate of Big Mouth was like 68%. So they renewed Big Mouth again, and they canceled Inside Job.
I mean, that kind of feels like a fair metric.
It's not.
Not really.
50% is not a fair metric.
Okay, so the percentage itself may not be fair, but the judging based on completion rate actually feels like fair. It's like if people are losing interest halfway through, then yeah, that makes sense why you would not want to make more.
They're losing interest halfway through because you keep releasing like 50 new shows a day. It's like you can't. You need to let it simmer.
They broke Inside Job into 2 seasons, and
and they canceled the last 2 episodes. They ordered 20 episodes total. The first season was 10 episodes, and then when the second season started, they looked at the metrics and immediately canceled the last 2 episodes. And
no closure for you.
And well, it's not that the show never really needed "quote unquote" closure. I haven't seen all of season 2. I watched the first episode, but from what I understand, it forced them to cut out the last 2 episodes, which would have been major story, like teasers for a season 3 to get people hyped about season 3. But because they canceled those 2 episodes, the last 2 episodes, now there's no. It's basically Futurama. It's just every episode is its own self-contained, funny, haha, and yeah, people didn't finish it. But the thing is Netflix is digging their own grave because people see how many times they cancel a good show, and then they're like, well, there's no point in watching it because they're just going to cancel it. So then,
yeah, there was actually another show. I can't remember what it was called. The premise was that some people got strange powers. I think it might have been through genetic manipulation, but it was a play off of like the werewolf nonsense, because it was a chupacabra, a siren, and I can't remember, but it was weird. But I gave up on that show like 3 episodes in because I saw it was canceled. I'm like, well, there's no point getting invested now. Like, I don't want to end up being like, what happens next? And like nothing ever happens, so I just stopped watching after 3 episodes.
It's become a meme for Netflix to cancel things, and therefore nobody gets invested anymore until they hear, hey, this is the final season, and now the show's over. And it's like, oh, now I can watch it because it's complete.
Anyway, yes, so.
Break time.
Spoiler break. Spoiler break. Do-do-do-do.
We're back, everybody.
Yeah.
Ready to have your mind blown by a whole bunch of bullshit? Cause mine certainly fucking was. God damn multiverse bullshit.
So in general, I dislike multiverse stories. I think it's kind of
Well, actually, would
cheap.
you count this as a multiverse? Because
Yes,
it's still just one over and over again.
it's one over and over again, but it keeps changing each time. And there are characters that are claiming that they remember things from their previous lives. And then you have the Invoker, who I guess you could say is the main antagonist for the whole thing. Like
No, he is.
this show does kind of bait and switch you on the big bad. You're led to believe that the big bad is Terrorblade, which is another playable
Well,
character.
there can be more than one
Yeah,
antagonist.
but when you kill the big bad that you think, oh my god, he's the actual threat. When you kill the big bad at the end of season 2, and then there's still a whole new season, you're like, well, what the fuck? And then you find out that the most OP bullshit, I'm gonna sit in my tower and brood all fucking 2 seasons. The Invoker is actually the big bad, and not evil like I want everyone to die, but he has his own motivations for why he keeps undoing and redoing the universe, which he's done 12,204 times. Uh, he basically just keeps destroying and remaking the universe using the power of the Dragon Souls because he wants to keep his daughter alive, Philomena. And every single time he does it, Philomena dies due to some uh, curse in her blood or something. And no matter what he does, he's trying to keep his daughter alive just a little bit longer each time, and it always ends in failure.
It's supposed to be like a universal constant that she's destined to die and there's nothing that he can do about it or something. That's how
Yeah,
I read it.
it gave me a Time Machine vibes, the old
It
movie Time
did. It
Machine.
was like self-correcting timelines.
Yeah, it's like I could go back 1,000 times and watch her die 1,000 times. And then, but then at the end, it's like, no, she's fine.
Yeah, yeah, oh yeah. So this is jumping ahead to the very very end of the series, but he basically that was the reason for him destroying and remaking the universe every time is because his daughter always died at a young age due to this curse in her blood that shows up as lesions all over her body. And the thing that finally gets him to see reason and concludes the whole anime is that his daughter has it again anyway, and she's like, you can't stop it, this is part of me, I'm always going to get it. And he goes, I know, and like all sad about it. And so he allows her to fix the universe. And then at the very last scene of the fucking anime, after she and him have both said that no god, no healer, no one can cure her, she picks up a flower, and the flower does some magic bullshit, and all of her fucking lesions go away. She cures herself. And it's like, what the fuck? You just told us that it's inevitable and you cannot be cured. And then you just, yeah, I cure myself.
Yeah, so I guess we're gonna start out by dissecting the ending scene. So what that seems to be, at least what a lot of people seem to think, is it's the dollhouse allegory that they used earlier on, where she wanted a dollhouse, and so he got one for her, but she didn't like it because she wanted one that she wants the dollhouse of her dreams, not of his dreams. So the whole plan that fits into the whole Invoker knows and sees everything. You can't outsmart him because he knows everything. And I will get into how much I hate that character concept later on, but it was part of his plan to have that argument, that fight, that whatever, so that when the universe was remade one last time, she was the one remaking it with Mirana. Therefore, it's a universe that she can now take part in because she made it. She had a hand in making it. Which is why at the end, when they leave him behind in Foulfell, he smirks because he planned this in the beginning, kind of deal.
I guess, then they could have
Even more
fixed. They could have
contriving
fixed.
bullshit.
No, they could have fixed my problem then by just having her whisper, "Finally, it's the way I want," or something. Just
Well,
literally.
that sounds ambiguously evil, honestly. Finally.
All right, well, whatever. Change the wording, but point is that to the most average viewer who doesn't see that, like, because yeah, you're right. You're probably right, and that kind of makes sense now. But to the average viewer who literally 30 seconds beforehand found out that she cannot be cured, no matter what, she cannot be cured, and that not even a god can cure her, and then in the very next scene after she remakes the universe, she cures herself, and it's
Well,
like,
this show has a really big problem of going, this is impossible. then it happens.
Yeah, that's true.
It keeps raising the fucking ante over and over and over.
Well, once you grab the fundamental elements and remake the universe, where can you go from there to
Yeah,
raise
which is
the
why I don't
stakes?
like multiverse stories. Like I enjoyed early era Marvel, but then once we got like multiversal with the Infinity Stones, I just stopped caring. I'm like, okay, now nothing matters.
Yeah, I made a joke description sent to these two. It's basically Invoker lost the game and pulled an Avengers Infinity War.
Also, the ending scene, the fact that she says, "Do you love me?" That being that the line that Mene and Salamene constantly said, leads me to believe that either A, she's goddess of the moon in this universe, or B, she's just a goddess in general, not necessarily of the moon. Like a lot of the composition of some of the final scenes where you had Mirana and Mene sitting there. It's like we have sun and moon working together, right? And a lot of times they'd be sitting on either side of the camera angle while they're looking down at like Invoker or Davion, and then uh, Philomena pops up in the middle, and she has like a whitish glow rather than the purple or the gold. It's to me, composition-wise, artistically, makes it look like she's supposed to be a third goddess of some sort of pantheon. Like you have the sun, the moon, and then the whatever
Twilight.
else
Stars?
she's supposed to be. Sun, moon, and stars is usually the third thing when you have sun and moon.
Yeah.
She's the goddess of flowers. I don't fucking know.
I mean, yeah, everything to do with Philomena was the white flower that she named after herself. So, uh, yeah. Anyway, so I will say that as I mentioned before, my biggest issue, the biggest thorn in my side with this whole anime was the pacing, because you had all this build up with the super big bad, and then you kill him off at the end of the second season, and I feel like it could have just ended there. Like you had the gathering of the Avengers to take down Thanos, and they kill the bad guy with one of the coolest lines ever, or the coolest you know, whatever. The bad guy has Davian by the throat. He's doing that stupid thing that bad guys do where he's like, I'm gonna bring the hero character as close to me as possible, where I cannot defend myself. And he's choke holding him above the ground, and Davian's like, I want to make a deal. And he's like, you have nothing to offer me. And Davian's like, I just need you to stand still so I can fucking kill you. And then stabs him in the chest with his wrist blade. And I was like, yeah, that's fucking cool. Awesome. And then I was like, all right, there's a whole new season? What the fuck? And then the entire third season, I was struggling to find anything interesting because it was just a lot of characters being confused, wandering around, going, I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't understand. And hiding shit from each other, and it was so fucking annoying.
But if you stopped it there, then it would be 80% less confusing.
Yeah. It's like I told Ray, I was like, every piece of media needs to have a introduction of characters and a slow ramping up of stakes, and then it needs to have a big spike where, oh god, everything's falling apart, we need to confront the bad guy, and then a plateau of the fight with the bad guy, and then slowly peter off as things get better, and that's it. Now I understand that when you have a TV show with multiple seasons, you need to have a new stake per season because you're waiting X amount of months between them. But it's like the whole show, when you zoom all the way out and contain all three books into one graph, it still needs to follow that formula, because otherwise it's just nonsense. And yeah, the first two were perfect, and then the second one was just peaks and valleys. It looked like someone having a heart attack on fucking.
So how to get into this? Um, if you look at the show, it's 3 seasons as one storyline, and the 3 seasons are then Act One, Act Two, and Act Three. It makes a bit more sense with how stories are supposed to be structured. Season one was mostly the setup, and the finale of season one was when the characters kind of figure out like this is the problem and this is what needs to get fixed. This is what we need to start to do. Season two is a lot of the doing that, ending with a pseudo climax, because the break from Act Two to Act Three in most stories is supposed to be the false victory or the false defeat, depends on what kind of tone you're going for. Which in that case, it was the false victory or false defeat. I don't. It could be seen as either one because they killed Terrorblade, but everything's not done yet. there's
Yeah,
more to come
they
because bullshit
the
happens.
pillars
Bit
of
of confusion of the storyline here. Let me jump in real fast. I actually went back to Netflix. Season 2 ends with Slyrak going over to defeat Terrorblade. Season 3 starts with the first 2 episodes of them going to actually defeat
Oh, that's
Terrorblade,
true.
and
Okay.
then
That's
Okay,
multiverse
true.
shenanigans.
so then the break into 3 would be a false defeat because while everything while shit.
They
I don't know
think
if you would call
Slyrak
this.
wins, but apparently it's been like 3 months, so then they find out, yeah, no, Slyrak got his ass
Oh,
handed
you
to
know what?
him.
Okay, because the last. Okay, I got. Sorry, I'm confusing myself with events, even though I just like binged it all yesterday with Phantom. Uh, season 2 ends with a false victory because all the problems in the physical realm have been solved. We killed Kashara, or whatever his fucking name is. We got Mirana on the throne. Everything is resolved. Slyrak is going to Falfel to, as far as we know, kill Terrorblade. Everything's going to be great. And then it turns out it's not. And that's why, because that was the tonal shift they had. It was here's everything that's great, and now everything crumbles. That's why at book 3 was a whole lot of doom and gloom, and everything is terrible because of the way the peaks and valleys work.
Yeah. The it's also one of the other cliches that pisses me off about animes or TV shows, especially when there's magic MacGuffins to be had. So
There were so many goddamn MacGuffins.
the Dragon Souls, the Pillars of Creation, uh, the the Terrorblade has 3 of them,
He has 3 of them.
and the Invoker has 5 of them, and the Invoker gives the 5 to Davion and literally warns him this could probably very likely kill you. Having this many Dragon Souls in one body will certainly destroy you. So it's 5 Dragon Souls against Terrorblade's 3, and they're fighting, and then Terrorblade rips all 5 of them out of him, and then Davion kills him. So now the 8 Dragon Souls, which kind of floated out of Terrorblade and joined into one golden soul or whatever, and then the Invoker just steals them and destroys the universe. And it's like, oh my fucking god. And it's like, why didn't you just like do something about that? You see all the souls come out of Terrorblade. The first fucking thought on your mind should not be, we did it, it's over. It should be, get those goddamn things back.
Well, the only
Uh,
person who could hold them was dying.
Oh.
Yeah, also because he was dying, humans are ruled by their emotions in a lot of ways, grief, rage, all that. The fact that Davin was dying means everyone's tunnel visioning on him. No, 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 please don't die, don't do this, we won, you can't die, kind of deal. They're not paying attention to the souls, which is why it's really easy for invokers to go, and they're mine.
Yeah. The Invoker pissed me off because he is that.
I mean, I hated him because I don't like, he was so casually overpowered in a way that I hated.
Even in
And
his dialogue, he was overpowered. He's like, I knew you were going to do that. Oh, I
yeah,
already
okay,
planned for this.
it's the trope of you show a character to be quote a genius by no matter what happens it's yeah I knew that, yeah this went according to plan, of course this thought you did, you can only be yourself, whatever, it's like just so you can't ever get
The best of him.
the upper hand against him because oh no I saw that coming.
Yeah, when Terrorblade.
It reeks of high school sandbox fighting, like
It
no but
really
I'm stronger.
did.
Yeah, when Terrorblade thinks that he like has undone the Invoker's plans and then attacks the Invoker's tower with an army of dragons, like thousands of dragons that are all mind controlled by Terrorblade, and the Invoker just eliminates all of them with one attack.
Yeah.
And then it's just
Yeah.
like, and he's like, you have no recourse left. You must submit to me. And the Invoker's like, no, you did exactly what I knew you would do, and I've already planned for it.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Yeah, Terrorblade, I turned your little godling against you. She only acted as herself, just like you act as yourself. It's like, come on,
Yeah, the Invoker was,
fucking.
and the fact that the Invoker showed like no emotion the entire anime, like his rage was he slightly furrowed his brow, and his surprise was his pupils got slightly smaller, and that happened like maybe like on one hand you could count them, but for the most part he was always stoic and. Blah, 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 blah.
Of course, badass characters can't show emotions.
My favorite character in the whole anime was Mirana. I loved her. As far as a character goes. But my absolute fave would be her handmaiden Marcy. Uh, mostly because I think there's something endearing about a mute character because they won't talk constantly. I like a character that just
You love a mute character because it lets you just ramble nonstop.
that is true. I mean, it is like having an imaginary friend. Like Mirana was constantly. It was funny every once in a while. Mirana was like stuck in indecision, unable to figure out what she's doing, and then she'd look over at Marcy, and Marcy would just tilt her head and smile, and she's like, "You're right. You're always right."
She's talking to herself too, Marcy.
Yeah.
Dileton, we should make Bantam mute for a while. Like 1 month, Bantam can't talk.
I'll die.
I know you will.
Amazing.
I'll
actually be able to get my thoughts
there
in.
was one night at work where I was like,
Yeah, let Dileton talk, Bantam.
sorry.
My favorite character has got to be the Squire, and I think I forget her actual canon name, but Winter Wyvern, I think it's what the
Arath.
Arath, yes. Those two were the fucking dream team, and as soon as I saw that dragon, I was like, okay, yeah, no, she's dead. She is going to die horribly. And I called it. I fucking called it.
I know, she should have lived just so we could have an actual human-dragon relationship going on.
It got really close. I mean, she gave Bram a ring, and then attacked him.
We shared the dance of ritual combat.
And we
are bonded as mates.
And he's like, what? and then once he started to lean into it, and he's like, wow, it's pretty awesome being married to a dragon. She goes, we're not actually married. She goes, I'm sorry if that.
I'm unfamiliar with human humor.
Yeah, and he's just like, oh, okay. Like, he was actually disappointed, and I was really happy about that.
The thing is that had she survived, I guarantee you they would have ended up together because they did vibe so well.
They did, and it was such a missed opportunity.
Yeah,
I'll never forget the writers for that.
The GIF that keeps getting posted every once in a while, where so after she attacks Bram and gets him to use the
he blocks.
He blocks with the ring that she gave him, which she was trying to teach him to use it to block it, and then she goes, "Now attack me," and he throws a book at her, and she's like, "Oh, I am defeated.
I am vanquished."
I laughed so hard at that. It was amazing.
That's Dileton's ideal girlfriend right there.
When he's reading,
no argument.
When he's reading the,
I don't know how to respond to
when
that.
he's reading the book of poetry, and he's like, I don't know what any of this means. She's like, do you like it? And he goes, yeah. Well, oh God! It realizes he's talking to the dragon because it was the first time that she talked.
Yeah.
And just everything about it.
So I guess on that note, let's talk about how the dragons are handled in this world, with the majority of them being just mindless animals. That it's surprising when one of them is finally able to talk. Evidently, from what I can gather, the dragons seem to almost have a hive mind, because a lot of times it's discussed where they hear the thunder's voice or their eldworm's voice, and only if they can break away from that, usually through one of the dire or the radiant stones, is when they get their own free will, their own sentience, and they're actually able to talk at that point.
Yeah. What's her name? You just said it, and I already forgot.
Arath.
Arath explained, because she had a piece of the radiant stone, right? And so she said that she taught herself to read and write. She started to understand humankind more, or at least the other races. And she said that eventually she could no longer hear the dragon song. And it's implied that the dragon song is something that all dragons hear at all times, and that might be what is causing the hive mind.
Yeah, and it's also why when Terrorblade got the dragon souls, he was able to control that lineage of dragons. When he has the earth and the water soul, he's able to attack Dragonhold
with earth and water
dragons. Yeah.
She also said that she was she lost her position as an elder when she started fantasizing about the stone. So I feel like she was also one of the higher ups, but lost the place, I think.
Possibly. So she was never a capital E Eldworm, but she may have been an lowercase e Eldworm in the sense that she was very old.
Yeah. Old enough, powerful enough.
Yeah, so the dragon hierarchy, capital E Eldworm are only the 8 who are infused with the soul, the actual pillar of creation, and when they die, that soul goes into a new body, which is why when Slayak died, he just possesses Davion in every universe. Even when Davion isn't there to do the whole weird blood ritual thing, Slayak died, and all of a sudden, poof, he's inside Davion, because the Eldworm soul goes into Davion.
You were born to house the soul.
Yeah, because he is actually tied to the Ember Soul. Both he and Lena are. That's why when they first saw each other, they had that weird connection, because they are both tied to the Ember Soul.
Yeah.
Father, I don't know if that's his name or his title. I think it's his title.
It's his title, but they never use his name.
Yeah, Father talked about that a bit, how he called it the Dragon Clan, how there are some people that are just so in tune with dragons that they don't seem to be human anymore. He named Lena, and he also named Ulai, which was the Crystal Maiden, the lady who's with Arath. So yeah, they're just people that are so in tune with dragons that I guess they can become vessels for the Elder Souls at some point. Bantam, which one of the eight would you be?
Uh, Chaos.
If you don't know them, I
No,
was gonna name them real fast.
it would be Chaos. And
So you're just gonna end the
it's
world.
not because of what he did, it's his personality. Like when they were discussing Slyrax, or not Slyrax, yeah, I think it was Slyrax's death. When they were talking about it, when Davion was standing before the council, and
The Thunder.
they were all discussing it and arguing amongst themselves, and the Chaos Dragon was just like, enough, kill him. Like, yeah, that's me. That's like he was getting tired of the bickering and the arguments and the counterpoints.
They're talking about like, hey, if we kill, I don't remember the exact words, but basically, if we kill Davion, Slyke will come back and he can tell us himself. And he's just like, eat the mouse.
Yeah, he was just like, just fucking do it. And then because
Do you not like how the Void Dragons are just single worded?
single, it was funny because it was like he got the participation trophy for just talking with all the other ones.
Everyone has these full fluent sentences, and some of them are extremely flowery, and he's just all
Traitor.
like, corruption.
As far as designs, though, the Thunder Dragon and the Void Dragon were my favorites.
But you, by the way, you almost called him Kushara or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
That wasn't him. Those are two different Void Dragons.
No,
Two?
I
There's
understand.
so
I
many
understand
dragons.
that. I'm talking about the one in the council.
The Helios Council.
Yeah. No.
Okay.
The Pillars of Creation one, the one that only spoke in one
Yeah.
word. I liked him.
Yeah.
But as far as dragon designs, I liked the Thunder Dragon and the Chaos Dragon the most. As far as which one that I would be more in tune with, definitely the Chaos Dragon. I love Chaos. I like even in Warhammer 40k, I sympathize most with Chaos. Because
Because it's evil.
well, because just like we've discussed before, it's like when you go too far into the good guy light side, you eventually become evil in a different way.
Yeah, alignment is a circle.
Alignment is a circle, so it's like, yeah, chaos is not inherently evil or good. It's just fuck it, let's see what happens.
Well, then I'm picking the light dragon to keep you in line.
So the light is not the opposite of the Chaos Dragon.
I'm
So-
talking about the golden one that had like the only sense of morality of
Yeah,
the eight.
that was the luminosity. That's not the opposite of chaos.
What is the opposite of chaos?
Order.
The one who seems to be the leader, the Eastern Dragon shaped one. He's the Ionic Dragon. Ionic to refer to the ionic bonds between molecules, whatnot, which is their fancy way of saying. Wait.
Order.
Yeah. Would actually hold on. No. No, I guess. Shit, I don't know. Okay, so the Ionic could be the opposite of chaos because chaos and order, right?
Yeah.
Or I think Ionic could be the opposite of void because if you're talking about molecules and what makes them up, he could be considered matter, which would be the opposite of void.
Who cares? Chaos Dragon for me.
I guess it depends if you want to consider luminosity, which is light, would be the opposite of void or the opposite of chaos. Which if void is the space between stars, I guess the opposite would be light. I don't know. They don't have to be opposites anyway. They probably aren't. But yeah, I was gonna probably pick chaos too, as far as what I would be, what I belong to, what I am drawn to the most. But it's a bit more. It's slightly different than what Bantam considers to be chaos. Bantam considers chaos to just be like actual like chaos, like fuck, what's synonyms for chaos? Chaos synonyms.
So according to the
Mayhem and bedlam, turmoil, havoc, madness, that kind of stuff, right?
according to the wiki, the 8 types of the 8 fundamental things are air, fire, earth, and water, and then strong force, weak force, electromagnetism, and gravity. So there is no. So yeah, they're called.
I feel like that might have been the original lore before they revoted for the
Yeah,
show.
the dragons are specifically air, void, ionic, water, luminous, fire, chaos, and earth.
Yeah.
But it does not say anything about them countering each other. Says nothing
Yeah,
about them being
I
opposites.
don't think they're supposed to be opposites. They're supposed to just be all encompassing.
Yeah.
Right. But anyway, as I was saying, Bantam believes chaos to be more like mayhem, havoc, turmoil, all that. Right. That pandemonium.
No.
That's the kind of
No. Because that's inherently bad.
right. But like when you think of chaos, that's what you think of.
No, chaos I consider to be more like true neutral. Like I'm gonna do what I think is best and fuck whatever the universe says.
Chaos is going against order, and order is usually trying to preserve
The status quo.
exactly.
Yeah. But that
Which
doesn't.
usually it
But
has a more good leading towards it.
If the status
The
quo.
status quo is usually inherently benefiting to people, and chaos is usually not.
Well, like
so you're going to be doing a lot of evil shit going against the status quo.
Let's look at it this way: you've got the Helios Empire, and then you've got the Principality of Shadow, who are seemingly always locked in war at some point or another. And it's like maybe the elves always lose, all right? And then as the god of chaos, I go, well, what if they didn't? And it's like what's happening currently with the humans versus the elves is bad. That's the status quo though, is the humans versus the elves. So the status quo is bad. And then I say, what if that's not the status quo and I instead force them to be peaceful or force the elves to win or whatever.
Right. You definitely see chaos through the lens of like Discord from My Little Pony, or what's her name Eris from Billy and Mandy, the Apple Discord.
Yeah.
Yeah, you that's how you view chaos. Let's have fun and shake things up just for the sake of it. Just like which is literally havoc and pandemonium. Like you're taking established whatever the heck, tearing it down because you're bored of it.
I guess, yeah. Just sounds havoc sounds inherently negative.
Which is exactly what you're going for. Anyway, that's what you think of when you think of chaos. To me, chaos, and I want to use this in like a book or a D&D campaign or something. So I need to write this down. I need to use this. Chaos. So to define how I see chaos, we need to define how I see order. Okay, so order is stagnation. If you turned the order dial up to 100, everything would have its proper place. It would be in its place and it would never change, right? It's stagnation. It's everything staying the same. It is a routine that never changes. Order is the end of the universe through heat death, where everything becomes exactly the same, nothing changes, nothing is born, nothing is created, nothing happens. It's the singularity where you can't measure time because with no changes, there is no time. That's perfect up to 100 order. Therefore, the opposite is chaos. Chaos is change. Chaos is new things. Chaos is life. Chaos is experiences. Chaos is just the essence of actual like reality.
Dilettant.
Hi.
Did you ever play the Shivering Isles DLC for Oblivion?
The Oblivion was too jank for me to really get into.
The entire DLC was you go to the realm of Sheogorath, who is the Elder Scrolls version of Chaos. And you find out that he is dying and that he is actually turning into something else, which is a new Daedric prince, Jigalag, who is the concept of pure order. All of his soldiers look like animated chess pieces. They have no face. They're just made of like metal and stone. And he sweeps through the land, murdering everything in his path to restore order to Sheogorath's region. And it's your job as the player character to stop him. And you become the new Sheogorath. But it's like, Sheogorath was a fun character. And it's like, his world still ran. People were a little nuts, but everyone was having fun. And then Jigalag comes in and goes, no, all this chaos is bad. I'm going to kill every fucking thing here and restore order. And it's like, in that context, order is bad. It's like, order is boring. Mm-hmm. And that's why I like the Chaos Dragon.
Yeah. Pure order is entropy, which is why it is the enemy of life. And as such, chaos being is the force for good. Chaos is how things can actually exist. Without chaos, there never would have been a Big Bang kind of outlook, which is why I would align myself with chaos to keep things going. Kind of like how he said, the Chaos Dragon, I remember his name, Vadrak, I think, says in the show, he is fulfilling his purpose, the end of one cycle to begin anew. And again, I think Davion said something very similar at the very end, where creation requires destruction. All right, so
I'm
that's enough metaphysical discussion.
yeah. Well, so how about fucking
We're,
book
tr-
two,
we're
Lord?
triggering Dilettant's existential crisis. Gotta back off.
No, that's not Exo's crisis. The fucking creating the world 12,000 times is what that was something. So
Yeah,
chaos debate though that fried my brain.
poor Breen. Pat, pat, pat.
But yeah,
Uh,
out of all the dragons, I would love the Chaos Dragon the most.
yeah, I want to put eyes on my wings. That's pretty cool.
That was pretty cool. It was creepy, but it was cool.
I was kind of. I don't know, I feel like he was overdone.
Imagine your dad being a chaos dragon. When you get in trouble and he yells, it'll just wings out, all eyes open, looming over you. How intimidating would that be?
Creatures should only have two eyes. Any more and it gets weird. Maybe
But
four max.
But Bantam's got 8.
No, he's got two.
No, he's got 8. They're just hidden
Yeah.
under his
Imagine
feathers.
I better never see the
imagine
other six.
imagine one day, Dilettante, I'm being all like loving and romantic, and I lean in and I'm kissing you, and then I go, hey Dilettante, look, and I'm inches from your face, and then just the other 6 eyes open.
I put a wing immediately at your face.
Flap. All right, Dilettante, which dragon family would you belong to? We never actually got that from you.
I did. I was going to be the one that had the most sense out of all
right,
of them, the golden
right, and
one.
then we were trying to argue if that would be Luminosity or Ionic.
Yeah, then we went on the whole chaos tangent.
Yeah. I feel like you'd be if you're trying to just be opposite of chaos. I feel like you'd be Ionic. You'd be Long Boy, but I don't know.
You know, he was super handsome though.
He was super
He was.
handsome. Because the Eastern dragons are usually a 50-50, whether they're attractive or creepy. Because typically in a lot of old art, Eastern dragons have the face of a man, and they have like a man's nose or a pig nose. Like they can get really creepy and weird and gross. But he still had the really good snout and more of a dragon face, so it was good.
If they were to make another Dota cartoon, which probably wouldn't be Dragon's Blood, because like I said, I think it was just named that for the sake of Davion, and he's canonically dead in that universe. So if they made another one with a new story, with a new cast of characters, who would you hope they made a story about?
Like one specific character,
Well,
or
you
at
could choose a
least
couple, because-
center around one.
Yeah,
Like this one was centered around Davion.
Davion and Invoker with supporting cast Mirana, Luna.
Probably like literally any of the non-human ones. Like, give me a sec. Let me pop up the list of heroes here. I mean, like, you could have one focused around characters like fucking Hoodwink or Meepo, Medusa.
Bantam knows nothing about them, just picking them based on
Yeah,
appearance.
literally based on appearance. I'm sick and tired of fucking human-centric main characters. It's like you can have humans as main characters, but throw some others in there. Like it's always you get this fantastical world full of fantastic races that are all intelligent, and then you're like, nope, it's all humans. And that
I would like Pangolin, Slark, and Tidehunter to get into some crazy shenanigans
there were a
that
couple
leads them into.
there were a couple scenes I saw Tidehunter, or at least the same thing that is his race.
He's supposed to be very massive, so you just saw a member of his species.
Yeah. It's like when I was looking over the hero list while sending links to Dilettante, I was also like, man, they really ran out of ideas with some of these. Like, there's just straight up Zeus in there. Like, just Zeus. Just, whatever.
I'm pretty sure he's a god from a different pantheon in that world. Like, we only saw 2 kingdoms.
Yeah.
I don't know.
They
the
also
vast amount
they
of
also
Dota
have
lore.
Monkey King in there, which is kind of weird.
Why is that weird?
Because Monkey King, because again, it's like he's a god from real life, our life mythology. You've got a character like fucking let's just pick a random one, Enigma, whatever this fucking weird blue dude is. This whatever. He doesn't exist
Yeah.
in our real life mythology.
As far as you know.
But he does it. But then you've just Monkey King, throw him in there. Fucking Zeus, throw him in there. And then you've got characters that are just so lazy, like Io. It's just a floating ball of fucking energy.
How
It's the most
dare
boring
you?
shit.
He's supposed to be, so before the cartoon, Io was supposed to be the actual fundamental force of Ionic or whatever the fuck, strong force, weak force, I don't know. Just like Enigma was supposed to be one, and Chaos Knight was the force of chaos, and Keeper of the Light was the force of light, luminosity or whatever. Because then you have the four elements, which are literally the spirits. You have Storm Spirit, Earth Spirit, Ember Spirit, and I forget the other one, but whatever. So Io's got some lore to him. Okay, you shut your face.
I don't care what their lore is. The thing is that if you're gonna have a character who's like,
I like Io's playstyle, which is why I'm like defending
well,
him.
you can defend them all you want, but I'm not gonna defend the fact that they're like, look, this is what I would consider a particle effect in any other Magic game, and you gave a particle effect its own character model. Like, nope, this is the look. It's a fucking lightning bolt that just travels around the map. It's like, that's stupid. Put some effort into it.
I mean, you can. It's a cute little
Look
ball.
at Arc Warden and then look at Io. Like, Io is literally just a particle effect off of Arc Warden that you just turned into a new character. It's like ripping someone's pauldron off their plate mail and then, having arms and legs stick out of it and go there. I mean, that's more effort than Io. Yeah, I'm just insulting characters. I'll close this.
Dilettante, what would you want?
I don't know. To be honest, I'm not even sure where this conversation's going.
Well, the point is like, if you could make another show in this universe, what would you center it around?
Which characters would you want to see in it?
I told you,
just answered.
Pangolin,
like,
Tidehunger, and Slark.
Yeah.
I want to see their
you did.
shenanigans. I want those three to get into shenanigans that will lead them into some crazy.
Non-human
The thing is, like, when you answer a question, you answer it very short and succinctly. You're done in 5 seconds. Bantam's like, no, I'm going to tangent for 5 whole minutes. That I completely forget that Dilettante answered the question.
well, that's
I was there.
Dilettante's fault.
Well, no,
That's your
you
fault.
tangent in the middle of my explanation.
All right.
Duct tape. Shh.
But yeah, I don't know where their adventures would take them, but I would love the three of those to just go on, or hell, even like try to copy, oh my god, Dragon Prince.
In what way?
I don't know.
Just copy.
I just like
Dragon
I just like the character dynamic in that show. Apply that to those three. 3 more seasons. Greenlit at Netflix. You can hire me as a writer.
I would like another Dota show. I would be a good writer. Do you know Slark and Tidehunters and whoever's lore, or do you just pick them based on physical appearance?
I liked Slark and Tidehunter. We saw like nothing of them, and I like Pangolin's character in and of itself in the show, and I'd love to see more of that.
Right, but like, do you know their lore from the game?
Not even a little.
Okay, so you're basing this off of a physical appearance then, like Bantam.
I mean, cut this when you edit it, but I'd fuck the shit out of the pangolin guy.
I mean, who wouldn't? I mean,
Are we supposed to answer that?
There's no reason. There's no reason to cut that. I can leave that in
Okay,
there.
Dilettante, would you have sex with him?
I
He could hug you and then roll in a ball around you, and then you're trapped inside. He does that to Luna to save her from a fall.
Yeah.
So you know you'll fit.
Oh my god, no, according to Google, no, I will not.
You wouldn't what?
Yeah, no, I already know. No, we can move right past that.
Were you looking at like a real life pangolin?
Yeah, he just looked up a pangolin dick.
Oh, like real life pangolin.
Yeah.
Dick.
Well, because the character Luna, like, literally is like, no, I will not sleep with you because it's your equipment that's the problem.
Well, no, because he asked, "Is it the tail?" And she said, "No, it's the rest of it or something."
No,
like
she
that.
says the equipment.
It's the rest of the equipment.
It's the rest of the equipment. Yeah.
Right, which to me does not sound like I don't like the shape of your dick. I mean, maybe she's a lesbian. I have no fucking idea. But to me, that sounded like I just don't like pangolins. I would rather be with another human or an elf or whatever.
Which is boring.
That's what that sounded like to me.
Well, congratulations on living in your little protective bubble.
I know, right? We gotta go cross species. Let's go. Anyway, I would like a show based around Phantom Lancer. He was my favorite character when I played a lot 5 years ago. And I never got good with him either.
Give me a sec to properly judge you. Looking up. Thankfully, this is all alphabetized. Phantom Lancer. All right, nope, I'm not gonna judge you. Yeah, he's pretty cool.
I like his playstyle because he just summons a whole bunch of clones of himself. In fact, his all his quotes in game talk about we because he's got a whole bunch of him. So his end game is there's like 20 of him smacking you.
One of the other things that I want to call out, and this will be the last thing I talk about the actual video game versus the anime. One of the other things that made me amused is there's plenty of times in the anime where the characters do what is essentially a end game ultimate attack. Like Mirana at one point, like they're fighting some evil tree and she pulls back an arrow and concentrates and funnels all of her power into it and fires an arrow that essentially carves like a 50-foot wide just swath of destruction in a perfect cylinder and just eradicates everything in its path. And then I remember going back to the Dota 2 hero board and clicking on Mirana and looking at her abilities, and I'm like, yeah, no, she looks like she's bored. Like she's just like, pew, pew.
The thing is, like, as someone who's played the game, I could recognize a lot of the moves that some of them were doing, right? I recognize a couple of the spells that Invoker did. I recognize a lot of the stuff that Lena did. I recognize her Laguna Blade and her, I think it's called Sunstrike and all that. But then, like, Mirana, it's like, she doesn't really have anything. All she does in the game is just shoot arrows and jump. So it's like, they have to get really creative with her.
Yeah, and it's like I'd probably, I'm not saying me in real life, I'm just saying people in general would be like, wow, I'm kind of interested in playing the game if I can do cool shit like that. And it's like, no, you can't, because if they see Davion and they're like, wait, let's put me in that position. I look over at Ray and I'm like, oh, he can turn into a dragon in the game, and you're like, yeah, and I'm like, whoa, cool. And then I go play the game and he turns into what basically looks like a baby dragon, and I'm like,
Again, everything's the same
I
size
understand that, but it's like here's the thing I guess that bothers me. I know that it's not the subject of this episode, but Cyberpunk 2077, they had an anime come out, Edge Runners, which was fucking amazing, and it was so widely loved that the developers started changing the fucking video game to more mimic Edge Runners. That's what you need to do then. If you're going to have characters do crazy fucking awesome shit in the anime, and then you play the game and the best they can do is their arrows glow slightly, then fucking change it. Change the graphic. So that's all you need to do.
That's just Mirana specifically.
I mean, no, every character had crazy cool. Changed Davion's dragon model so that he looks like a dragon human hybrid.
I don't want to play the hybrid. But the thing, like I said, they released a skin for Dragon Knight to make him look like Davion, and his dragon form looked like Slyrak. Sadly, you can't care anymore because they did that whole limited release bullshit.
Of course.
But everybody else was like played really well. Like Pengolier, he rolls into a ball and bounces around.
Yeah, but he didn't.
Lena throws fire everywhere.
But he didn't have a rapier at any point.
Yeah, he was unarmed for the entire fucking cartoon.
I went to go look at him, Dilettante, and the hero thing, and I mean, he's actually probably slightly more handsome in the fucking video game than he is in the anime. He looks way fatter, and his face is more flat in the anime. Like flat as in like someone pushed down on his head and his whole face contorted. But yeah, his tail is big and wide, and it kind of almost looks like a cape. Like it's really cool. But he's got a rapier, and he didn't have a weapon the entire fucking anime.
Of course not. He can roll into a ball. He can he can be his own weapon.
Yeah. Let's play Dota.
No. So I was talking. Actually, I had a conversation with my friend a while back. This was like during the early days of Dota when they were talking. They were. That's all they fucking talked about. And some of my friends were just suggesting changes. And the elitist, the one that smoked the most weed when that's the whole situation happened, he basically explained that Dota is a perfectly crafted game that should never be changed, because if you alter one thing about one hero, it'll affect like 5 more. If you edit the map one thing, it'll affect the abilities of some of the other characters.
That didn't stop them from changing a whole lot of things. I played last night, and oh boy, some characters have slightly different abilities. The map is actually different now. Roshan's no longer in the center. He goes in the fucking corner, and he can move.
I'll take your word for it.
This is a conversation that only Ray understands.
All I'm saying, well, back in the day, Dota was perfectly crafted and should never be altered. So I guess Valve never got the memo for that.
Valve's not in the market
mean-
of making games anymore. You should know that.
I feel like a lot of their changes worked for the better. But the thing is, when they did change stuff, it was massive overhaul. It wasn't, let's change one thing. I think they knew it was all interlinked in such an interesting way that when they changed something, they changed a lot of things. There were some massive patches where, like, we're basically revamping the game.
It's just like I know that Valve has developed a lot of games in its day, and I know that like there are still people to this day who play Team Fortress 2 and are still
They will never make a third
and they're still
of anything.
and they're still crying and crying and crying for a fucking update to Team Fortress. And Valve like 10 years ago was like, here, have hats, goodbye. And that was it forever.
Yeah. So we got Portal 2, got Half-Life 2, got Team Fortress 2, we got Dota 2. It's like we're never getting a third anything.
The funny thing is that the developer for Portal says that he has a script ready to go and he has a game ready to go. But the problem with Valve is the way their development structure works is, let's say you have 100 employees. You tell them, okay, work on what you want, and they form little factions and they all go work on whatever they want. And if you get bored of if you work for Valve and you're working on Dota and you're like, this sucks, I hate this, you can literally just pack up your desk and move over to the fucking Half-Life area and go work on that. But apparently it's only
I doubt that because we would have a Half-Life 3 by then.
because there's not enough. It takes a long time to develop a game. I mean, fucking takes.
There's a whole history about the Half-Life 3 debacle. That'll take a whole episode to cover.
The thing is every time they got even close to a semi-reasonable plot, people would leave, and Valve would cut their funding. And it's like, you're allowed to work on what you want, but apparently your pay scale also changes depending on what you're working on. So that's how games get finished faster, because you're like, well, I can, and this is all confirmed by Valve employees, that they would be like, well, I wasn't making any headway or money working on blah, blah, blah. So I moved over to the other blah, blah, blah team and started working on that. And yeah, it's like, you're also allowed to work on whatever the fuck you want, apparently. Like, one employee said that there was one or two people who started coming up with a concept for a new game, and Valve was like, oh, let us know. And then like a year later, they were like, yeah, this sucks. And they moved over to a different department. And they just delete it. It's over.
We are finally getting Counter-Strike 2 on Source 2, so they're slowly running out of 2s. Maybe one day.
One day they're gonna they have their employees under an NDA that's punchable by death or something because they're working on all the 3s at the same time, and they're gonna just release them all at once because they know if they release like Dota 3, everybody else is gonna get upset like, where's Portal 3? Where's Half-Life 3? Where's all the other 3s? So they know that they gotta do them all at the same time.
They're gonna do it.
They're gonna save that for the biggest 2 of them all, the Orange Box 2.
Oh god.
It's a vast. See, Gavin is a true genius.
He's playing the long game.
He's playing the long.
I would love it if what Ray said came true, but they released, like, let's say Dota 3, and they let it stew for a week and let the internet go, oh my god, and then Team Fortress 3, oh my god, and then let it stew for 2 weeks. And then
never release Alex 3? Or Half-Life?
And then Portal 3. Go through all of them, and then wait like 3 months, and then release Half-Life 3.
Because that's one that would make people cry the most, right?
It's become the meme. It is the biggest video game meme in existence.
Mm. I think we're done talking about the show because we've tangented off into God knows what else at this point. Is there anything else you guys wanted to bring up?
It's a really good anime, and you should watch it. And you should watch it all the way to the end, even though I think that Season 3 sucked. Watch the whole thing.
Listen, what were you saying before Bantam talked over you?
I said you should give it a watch. Enjoy the chat. Well, actually, no, that's a terrible thing to say. If you're into violence, you give it a go. There you go.
I will correct what Ray just said. I did not talk over Diletan. Diletan tried to interrupt me, and I am an unstoppable force.
Oh, please.
I was talking, and then Diletan started to talk, and then quickly stopped because he realized I cannot be talked over.
Yeah, if you try, Bantam just gets louder and faster.
I love you,
If you
Dilettante.
like convoluted and confusing storylines, then go watch Dota. It's got decent dragon candy though.
It does it.
They
Um,
spend most of their time as orbs.
which is very
They
sad.
do spend more time as orbs than they do as dragons.
Well, because they just get like insta kibbed because fucking everyone cheats. Anyway, thank you for joining us, everybody. We hope you enjoyed that tangent foot discussion.
Sign the petition. Nerf Invoker. He's apparently too powerful.
Nerf Invoker, holy shit. If you want these two to play Dota with me, let us know at
Nope.
one of several places
Nope.
you can get in contact with us.
No, if we
Nope.
if we reach a certain amount on Patreon, I will do it. I will do it.
We will stream us three playing Dota and laughing the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah, laughing. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
It'll be fun. We'll start with bot matches. It's fine.
Sure.
If we get, should I not say what we're getting?
Don't say our current number. No.
If we can get to $75 a month.
No, just say if we get two more VIP patrons.
All right. If we get 2 more VIP patrons, I will play Dota with Ray.
Yes. All right. It's locked in. Bantam links? How can they get in contact with us, and how can they become a patron?
All right. So we have a Twitter. It is @officialwadpod. Our email is wadpodcastmail@gmail.com. Our Patreon is patreon.com/worldofdragonspodcast, all one word. And our Discord will be linked in the show notes.
Yep. Dilettante.
Ray.
When does your Nightmare Work Week start?
Starts on, if I remember correctly, the 3rd of July.
The 3rd of July. Of July?
Yes, 2 weeks.
Wait, is July when our anniversary is?
Yes.
Holy shit, I was thinking like a whole month in advance. Ugh. Wait, no, we're currently in June. It's not a month in
We are in
advance.
June.
I'm stupid. What the hell?
Did you forget a whole month?
I did. I thought we were still in May. I
What?
rejected in
We have been in May for a month.
Alright, so if you're starting on the 3rd, our next recording day is the 2nd going into the 3rd, which means we probably don't want to record then.
For me, it's the 3rd because I wake up normally on the 3rd. You guys stay up through 2. Listen, I suggest push to the 10th. If his football team gets his ass kicked by the 6th, then yeah, should.
I have missed an upload, so I have an episode in the bank. So we can skip the next recording completely and just record the anniversary on the 17th. And
That
just
works for me.
So we won't meet again for another month, basically.
What are we gonna do then?
So it'll be the anniversary.
Oh, right, the anniversary episode.
Okay, so I'm gonna cut that whole discussion out of the podcast. So anyway, thank you for joining us, everybody. Next episode we're going to be doing our anniversary spectacular. There is a bunch of questions that were asked on our Discord in a little curated section that we will be going through and answering, sharing stories and just celebrating overall. Sadly, by the time you hear this episode, we will be recording it like right then and there that day. So if you have a question you want to ask us, it's a little too late now. So hopefully you've already.
Now hold on, they can still
Given the
join the
question-
Discord last minute and then slap the disc answer in the audience. Then that's that's in the
Actually, yeah,
anniversary question section.
if they listen to this episode the second it gets uploaded, there's a good chance they'll have like 12 hours to go before we record. So maybe you can make it. Last second, let's go. I'll have to actually upload this one on time rather than like a day or two late because of scheduling not letting me edit fast enough. But yeah, so anniversary next time. Hooray! 2 whole years, guys.
Yeah, I mean,
8 more to go.
There's no way for me to word this without it sounding pessimistic, but I honestly didn't think we'd get this far. Like, I'm having
Way to
fun
be
with
pessimistic.
it. I know that.
Yeah, we're going strong despite Dilettante's best efforts.
I gotta try harder next year.
I know that there's like an internet joke where it's like, what is it when you've got 3, like like what happens if you leave 3 dudes in a room for long enough? They'll start a podcast, and it's like so.
Podcasts are great for me because I am a very opinionated person. I must let everybody know what I think about
Yeah.
everything. Anyway, so yeah, we want to give a thank you to all of our patrons, with a special shout out to our 2 VIP patrons, Kazan and Comrade.
Thank you very much, guys.
Switched up the order today.
What was that?
He switched up the
I
order.
said you're switching up the order today. Oh, the order today.
Do I usually say Comrade first?
Yes.
Whatever. Flip a coin, I guess. Alright. Anyway, so yeah, thank you, and we'll see you guys next time.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.